Hello everyone, and welcome to Sunless Skies. I am Smastian, and you're watching the Lads Upon Fire channel. I am going to be playing this game today for the first time, despite having been a backer of this thing since it basically went live on Kickstarter. I have not taken a look at any of the builds. I'm going into this thing completely blind. And I think that's the way it should be. I took a bit of a gamble on this company, but given how well Sunless Seas turned out, and also the transparency with which they were going forward in their development, and also their delay of this game by a significant few months, I have faith, for now, that this game will be pretty good. So, let's dive right in. Starting a new game. And we'll go with a legacy campaign, because that's the way I played Sunless Seas Sunless Sea, up until I grew tired of it and decided to save file edit my way in order to get a victory, but it was only a money victory back then. And I put in about, what is it now, 200 hours into that game? Either way. It was a bit of a slog, but hopefully this one will be better for just getting your way through the story without neglecting too much world building. Ultimately, that was the strength of Sunless Seas, or Sunless Sea, not plural, and it's why I kept coming back to it, and only towards the last few hours did I save file edit my way through it. Anyway, settings here. Aiming assistance, we'll leave that as none. Enemy projectile speed as standard. Somewhat slower. Very slow. Standard. Okay. So it's only easiness settings that you can modify here. Supply consumption as standard, thrifty, provident. Yeah. So you either start off at the highest difficulty or go lower. Either way. Okay, a bit of a story blurb so far. What an ambient opening. I've returned to the Reach, an untamed sunless span of the heavens, London's new frontier, a celestial garden run wild. Okay. Interesting. Pressing Q and E gets us to dodge laterally. You seem to be only able to do that a certain amount of times, however. Like 3 times or so. So far, things are interesting. And apparently this is a tutorial section. As first officer, the crew look to you. The nearest station is New Winchester. Can you get the Orphean there safely? Yeah, sure, let's give it a good go. I'm pressing the left and right mouse buttons, but it doesn't seem to be launching anything. Press R to scavenge, gives us an extra fuel. So far we have 2, nothing seems to be going down, however. A wreck drifts here. Less fortunate even than you. We should scavenge her for repairs, a crewman suggests. The Ozymandias. The wreck hangs in the sky, pocked with recent gunfire. You and the boarding party don your sky suits, garments of waxed canvas, lined with felt to protect against the cold of the sky. 2 of the crew are whispering as they dress. What business did Captain Woodlock have in the Blue Kingdom anyway? Why the devil did we trespass on the districts of the dead? You silence him. Now's not the time. Leap across to the wreck. The gap between the 2 engines isn't wide, but the endless fathoms of heaven gape beneath it. You jump. Your stomach lurches with vertigo as the stars blaze around you and below. The air of the heavens is thin and torn by unpredictable winds. Then your boots hit the running board of the Ozymandias, and your leather-gloved hands fumble for a hold. One of your companions throws you a line, and you lash the 2 engines together. Only then do the rest of the boarding party follow you. One of them forces open an exterior hatch and you clamber inside. Her interior is cold, unlit, and whistles with the wind. Your party's lamps spread buttery light over the narrow, paneled passages. You make your way towards the hold, stepping over bodies crumpled in the corridor. Unfortunately, your way is blocked. A bulkhead has been mangled inward by a well-aimed barrage. We can either clear the obstruction or lead your party on a more precarious path. Let's go with the precarious path. Why not? We succeed in going back out onto the Ozymandias' hull, climb past the blockage and enter through a window on the far side, and do so carefully. The rest of the boarding party follow you with enthusiasm. You recall the first time you climbed outside an engine, helping the captain fix a leak in an exterior pipe. The wind had shrieked, buffeting at you. You asked the captain what would happen if you slipped. You fall, she answered tersely. But where to, you asked. She looked down, then up, then back. The sky's depths spiraled all about you. Away, she said, and you heard her fear. Or casual disinterest, in my case. Back in the present, you tumble back into the Ozymandias through a shattered window, your party spilling after you, glad to be back inside. You have reached the Ozymandias' hold, a ruin of smashed cargo and spilled supplies. Hopefully, somewhere amidst the detritus, you can find parts to repair the Orphean and restock your stores. Conduct a thorough search. Your companions work quickly. The Ozymandias' hull has begun to creak. Your actions on board may have compromised its integrity. You find enough food and gear to restock your supplies and enough spare parts to make necessary repairs to the Orphean. The food will need to be thoroughly thawed, of course, but you've eaten worse in the skies. "Oh ho!" cries one of your party, prying the lid off a long crate. It holds a cannon, still nestled in straw. Another crewman pulls a battered birdcage from a pile of ruined cargo. Within the cage, something winged and furred opens a sullen eye. You examine your finds. We gain 4 supplies and 15 hull. The Ozymandias emits a long, juddering creak. Your boarding party exchange nervous glances. From the chaos of its hold, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment. A gun that could be mounted on your locomotive, and an educated bat. Well, let's mount the cannon on the Orphean. Her own weapons were damaged during the flight from the Blue Kingdom. That leaves you vulnerable. Does it now? The Cotteril and Hathersage, Jerusalem, fires single shells at a good range, more or less accurately. You order 2 of your party to get it back into your vessel. Blah, blah, blah. Well, let's go a bit faster through this. We also get a bat. The bat treats its rescue as an inconvenience and immediately begins haggling over pay. You offer to put it back in its damn cage and leave it on the Ozymandias, at which point it becomes more polite. You doubt it will last. The politeness, not the bat, I guess. Well, let's return to the Orphean. Let's not push our luck, because that's what got me into a lot of trouble in Sunless Sea. Our terror has reduced. You lead your boarding party back to your vessel. Unshackling her from the buckling Ozymandias, you stoke your engines and steam away. Restocked, repaired, and rearmed. The crew give a ragged cheer. Onwards! Okay, hold on. Let's test this. Okay. What happened there? Did I take hull damage? I don't quite get it. Maybe it'll be a... well... okay. We send out a scout and cost supplies. But yeah, maybe the overheating system will be explained a bit better later on. Our scout has discovered something. Opened the compass icon in the toolbar. Okay. There's the compass icon, okay. Summoned by Captain Whitlock, the walls of the captain's cabin are lined with a hodgepodge of curios from across the sky. Captain Whitlock lies in bed. Black marks cover her skin like a monstrous brand. When she coughs, coils of acrid smoke pour from her lungs. Inquire after her injuries. A word of living fire pursued the Orphean across the Blue Kingdom. It caught you just before you passed through the transit relay to the Reach, and set its brand upon the captain. It's burned itself right through her, the doctor whispers. When I closed the worst of her wounds, I could see the sign is seared into her bones and her organs. Judging from her symptoms, it's on the inside of her lungs, too. The captain leans to one side and vomits a plume of fire into a copper bowl. There's nothing the doctor can do. The walls of the captain's cabin are lined with a hodge... okay, fine. Approach the bedside. Her mouth is blistered from the blue fires that dance on her tongue. Her hand grips your arm, her skin is hot as a kettle. Made arrangements. The Orphean will be yours. Her voice is just a rasp of burned meat breath. But promise, she breaks off to scream a word in a language that was not made for human mouths. When she resumes speaking English, she is weaker. Her request little more than a gasp. Promise me one last service. Promise. Fine. She sinks back, relieved. All in my will, she gasps. Be a better... She breaks off as the sigils burned into her bones flare, glowing cherry red through her flesh and skin. Better captain than I. The effort exhausts her. She sinks back into the scorched pillows and twisting, frantic fever. And let's take our leave. Your scout has discovered something out in the sky. Primary fire, yep. What's on the chart? Well, that's where it is. Oh, there's a ship here. Well, okay, let's... okay. Well, what do we get to loot? Well, let's raid the remains. What do we have in stock? We now have an extra 29 sovereigns. Looting the dead. Cool. So in case you haven't figured this out, we are a steam locomotive in what effectively passes for space. The dock noises are a bit annoying, though. Well, we found you, Winchester. What do we get to see here? You coast into the bustle, the din, the soot, and the steam of Wolvesey Station. It is clogged with other engines, scrappy mining locomotives from Lustrum Way, weathered explorers gleaming with frost. Sleek company vessels with bright brass fittings. No sooner have you pulled into the sidings than a brusque station master bustles over. He requests to come aboard. I must speak with your captain, he insists, brandishing a ledger. The usual formalities. Look to the Orphean's doctor. He has just appeared at your shoulder. His face is solemn, his hat is in his hands. He lowers his eyes. The crew exchange bleak, wordless looks. The Orphean itself feels suddenly more empty. The station master looks confused. You informed him that unfortunately Captain Whitlock has just passed. Ah, he says neutrally. Sorry to hear that. Very sad, very sad. He waits for what he considers an appropriate minute and a half before continuing. Alas, even amidst Let's try again. Alas, even amidst tragedy, the cogs of bureaucracy must turn. If Captain Whitlock is deceased, the station authority require their answers from the first officer. He dons a set of spectacles and locates his pen. It will be relatively painless. Name, background, purpose of visit, etc. Shall we begin? So, I guess this is where we choose what we were in a past life. A street urchin, a soldier, a poet, an academic, a priest, a sailor, a ministry auditor, a revolutionary. You know, for continuity's sake, I was a sailor. I roved the mournful, merciless waters of the Untersea, right up until I started save scumming. High iron as our first starting skill. Mirrors, investigating and deduction. Hearts, mirrors, hearts, iron, and veils. You know, as much as I would like to go for continuity, a part of me, okay, revolutionary is also a possibility. I somehow missed that. Anyway, yeah, this one gives you high veils. If secrets are as much of or as important as they were back in, Sunless Sea, I might want to be someone with a high mirror stat. But nope, we're going with continuity. We are a sailor. Or a sailor. Just to make sure, yes we are. So, was I a smuggler, an explorer, or a merchant? Really, I was an explorer back in Sunless Sea. What I really liked doing was just uncovering the entire map before I did anything else. I mean, part of the reason why I kept losing so many runs is because my main focus was just uncovering the map because of, well, my OCD, I guess. So yeah, I explored. Mine were far, lonely journeys. I endured nameless hardships. I rallied a crew in the face of utmost uncertainty. I guess I'm increasing hearts. What kind of ambition am I going to go for? Wealth, fame, or the truth? You know, I'm gonna go for the wealth ambition because it's likely going to be the easiest to complete. As much as the truth ambition would be nice. So yeah, I guess what I want is a comfortable retirement, and by comfortable I mean extravagant. Many have made their fortunes out among the stars, many more have failed, broken and lost in the drifting night. Will I be different? Probably not. Right, appearance-wise, let's go with random avatar until I find something reasonable looking. I could go for Leon Trotsky. Or Karl Marx. I'll take a pass, though. Fine, let's do this manually. Yeah, I guess I'll go with this hairdo. Some sort of hat, maybe. Perhaps one of those. You know, I'm gonna go with no hat. Just let's go for the Captain Ahab look. Glasses, no glasses. Brow, whatever. Nose is fine the way it is. Well, yeah, sure. That looks more true to life, I guess. Chin. Yeah, that's about my beard length. Outfit, though. Yeah, that looks pretty Captain Ahab to me. Title of address. Well, naturally, Captain. Unless there's something more interesting. Yeah, Captain it is. Name... Smastian, obviously. Let's continue forth. Start the game with 25 iron, 17 hearts. Sure, I guess. Okay, officers and mascots. Scouts. Cool. So, 3 weeks have passed. This morning, Captain Whitlock received a simple memorial service. Her body was consigned to a necropolis train bound for the Serene Mausoleum. Now you sit with a handful of her relatives in the threadbare offices of her solicitors. A methodical notary is reading the will. The captain was wealthy once, but squandered her capital on mysterious expenses before her expedition to the Blue Kingdom. Let's listen to the end. The captain's relatives, from whom she was mostly estranged, are clearly wondering why you are here. True to her word, in a final codicil, the notary announces, Captain Whitlock confirmed that possession of the Orphean was to pass to its first officer. He peers at you with dry, gray eyes. This includes a certain black box contained in the Orphean's hold. Captain Whitlock's final request was that, at a time of your choosing, you transport said box to an address in London. He hands you an address card and deposit it there. Anyway, you are not to look inside. She gave no explanation. That's it. You are captain now. You can investigate the black box at New Winchester. You could take the box back to London as requested, or you could sell it and be done. You've been bequeathed a large black box, and I've gained 100 sovereigns. So, various choices here. The clamoring station of New Winchester, a place of steam and smut and thundering iron. Here you can find people willing to pay for a skilled captain's service. Explore the city, recruit the incautious driver. An opportunity. I'm gonna keep the black box closed. Repairing the locomotive, not necessary. Crew members 8 out of 10. Yes, let's hire on some. Guess I have to pay for a round of drinks, and they'll get hired on. Sure, why not? Cool. 2 extra crew members. I'm not going to be reading through absolutely everything there is to read here. That would be a bit much. Let's explore our ambition. This is the first step, purchasing the governor's manor. How much does it cost? 5,000 sovereigns, okay. Well, I guess that'll be something to keep in the back of our mind. Again, repairing the locomotive, not completely necessary. Yeah, we're already at Wolvesey Station. Stories and shops. For now, however, stories. An opportunity, the fastidious inspector. I'll learn to read and speak at the same time, huh? Anyway. Excuse me, Captain. A woman pushes through the crowds towards you. She is short and square-shouldered, in a neat black suit and polished shoes. She shows you the case of her pocket watch. It is embossed with the crown and hourglass of London's horological office. The body responsible for ensuring time is consistent across the empire. I'm hoping to book passage to Port Prosper, she says, slipping the watch away. I can, of course, pay. Pay sounds promising. Thank you. The locomotive I was on broke down following a boiler rupture. The chief engineer's fault, I suspect. A gentleman fonder of brandy than of diligence. Here, an initial sum to seal our bargain. Prosper lies to the north-northeast of Winchester. Not that there is such a thing as north and such in this area, but north according to our standards. Sure, we'll roll with it. Cool, we gained 50 sovereigns and are now transporting, well, human cargo. Let's talk to the incautious driver. He specializes in test driving, but he's looking for something quieter. The driver indicates a crashed engine still smoking. Like that! Without the screaming. Officers require a sign-on fee. What harm can it do? You'll get a chief engineer who will increase your iron by 6, hearts by 2, and your affiliation establishment by 1. Well, since we have no idea what we're doing, we'll hire him on. He only costs 20 sovereigns, after all. Onwards we go. Now, while we're here, let's explore the city. The smoggy, clanking, singing, stamping, thronging, frantic heart of the Reach. An ever-expanding port of soot, smudged glass, and bright steel, spilling across a drifting, mist-wrapped archipelago. Its factories thunder, its engine sheds ring with hammers and hiss with steam. Locomotives chug into sidings for repair, or flare across the sky and away into the high wilderness. The High Wilderness, by the way, is the name of the place we find ourselves in. Space in this universe, so to speak. An opportunity to learn about trading. Successful skyfarers fund their expeditions by dabbling in trade. Inquire whether there are any good trading opportunities available. On the Pedal Trail, a porter at the station advises you to visit the nearby pub, The Promise of Days, and talk to the seasoned captains there. They keep their ears to the ground. They'll know about an opportunity or two. Cool, we've just unlocked The Promise of Days as an opportunity. Inquire about the Winchester War. How goes it? The slow-burning war for the Reach forms the backdrop to daily life in New Winchester. Citizens wishing to keep up with developments in the war turn to the New Gazette. It is, famously, the only newspaper worth reading in New Winchester, as well as the only paper that hasn't bankrupted itself. Its quality speaks for itself as well. Here you can read about the progress of the war, check your reputation, blah blah blah. Read about the political situation. Who currently controls the Reach? The Assembly runs New Winchester from Victory Hall and seeks to strengthen its hand in the Reach. London's proxy, the Windward Company, however, maintain a considerable presence herein. Although New Winchester is still neutral ground, tensions are mounting within and without the port. Are they talking about me by chance? Your name does not appear in any of the tackety-focused reporting on the war. Apparently you are not considered worthy of comment. There's no mention of you among the stories about the Stovepipe's recent fortunes. You are not of interest to them. Yeah, nothing much here then. Anything else to explore in the city? Ah yes, visiting the Promise of Days. A club where seasoned captains gather to trade stories and share advice with young skyfarers. Old pistons gleam on the walls. The shelves are crowded with mementos from across the sky. The clientele raise their voices to be heard above the comforting clamor of the adjacent engine yards. Let's introduce myself to the seasoned captains. They are always happy to offer words of advice, sometimes many words. Four are gathered at their usual table: the masked citizen, a libertine, polymath, and pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school. The bedeviled didact, a scholar haunted by his discoveries. The plucky baroness, explorer, collector, philatelist. And spatchcocker Meg, who hunts monsters. Of course, everything out here is jolly dangerous, says the Baroness. Few risk the skies, so news of distant ports is valuable. Collect port reports from the places you visit and deliver them to Victory Hall or Company House. The more you turn in at once, the more they'll pay. Look for other opportunities on the way, advises the masked citizen. Passengers who want transport, rich men in need of bloody work, etc. Ask them how to make my fortune through trade. Between them, they've carried Navarretine gemstones from Eleutheria, souls to the Blue Kingdom, and raw hours to London. Have they tips? Ah, the didact says, fiddling with his innumerable talismans. An essential topic. Meg slides you a stool and the captains shuffle around to make room. The masked citizen buys you a drink of their own invention. It is violet and foggy. The plucky baroness gives you a brisk, encouraging grin. Ask away. Ask about markets. How can you buy and sell goods? I think I'm just going to breeze through this one. Yeah, okay, this is still tutorial stuff. Ask about prospects. Yeah, okay, this is still tutorial stuff. Ask them if they know of a good prospect. Okay. The host at Magdalene's needs an urgent delivery of seeds, paying a pretty penny too. If I were you, I'd get to the bazaar straight away, put my mark against it. Make grunts. Broker in Port Avon is selling cheap seeds. Chirpy chap. God knows why. His face looks like it's been pushed through a mangle. Okay, so we need to go to Port Avon. It lies to the southwest of New Winchester, and Magdalene's lies to the north-northwest. Accept the prospect from the bazaar if you haven't already, then buy seeds from the bazaar in Port Avon and sell them at Magdalene's. Cool. Ask where I can buy goods cheaply. Spatchcocker Meg wipes beer foam from her lips. Visit bazaars at quieter ports, can find all sorts, limited supply, yeah, more or less, yeah, just tutorial stuff. Nepotism. Okay, as your affiliations increase, academe, bohemia, establishment, and villainy, they will unlock new, more rewarding bargains and prospects. Okay, so there are multiple story paths that I guess are mutually exclusive, potentially. Affiliations allow your next captain to inherit certain resources should the unthinkable happen. Well, it's not really the unthinkable, more the thinkable, I guess. Change the subject. Anything else to talk about? Go elsewhere. Any other stories that are available? No, not really. Okay, I mean, I can investigate this black box a bit. So yeah. The last request of Captain Amelia Whitlock was for the box to be transported. Yeah. Ultimately, I can find a willing buyer. Try and remember when they acquired the box. She had it brought aboard just before your ill-fated expedition to the Blue Kingdom. It was empty then, you know, because you saw the lid and the box carried on board separately, and assembled in the hold. It's not empty now. It is sealed and even heavier than before. But you left for the Blue Kingdom shortly after the box was delivered, and made no stops on the way. So whatever is inside the box now, Captain Whitlock found in the Blue Kingdom. Examine the box. It has the dimensions of a sarcophagus plundered from the tomb of some foreign prince of Egypt. There are no carvings or inscriptions on it. The join where the lid meets the body is too thin to admit even a knife blade. There are no holes by which light or air might find their way in. It is impossible to see inside without opening it. Even the keyhole has been engineered in such a way as to prevent peeking. The recess with the keyhole, though, as far as you can determine, that is a more recent addition to the box. Thus, the stone has been drilled and chiseled away to create space for a modern metal lock. Okay. I can sell it as a curiosity. Consult with an academic, but I need an uncanny specimen to do so. Find someone who could open it from among your villainous associates, so I need some villainy association and 200 sovereigns. I need a savage secret to pick the lock myself. Or detonate it with a modest explosion if I have carefully packed crates of munitions. Well, no matter. Let's go to the bazaar. We need some seeds for Magdalene's, which I'll claim, and literature for Traitor's Wood. Somerset students camped in the Dark Wood require fresh material for their studies, entertainment, and occasionally roughage. They've requested 5 consignments of ministry-approved literature. New prospects available in 30 days. Okay, that's interesting. So I need to deliver 3 seeds to, Magdalene's. Okay. Oh. Okay. Whoops. Abraham's Engineering. We already have a Cotterell and Hearthsage Jerusalem. Cramped Quarters. What does this do? A mining array. Huh. Not sure what any of these do. Okay, there's the tooltips I was looking for. Right. So this does 10 damage, range of 750, heat of 30. Heat 40, range 400, damage of 24. This one's been described as a proper bugger to reload. Cramped Quarters, +4 to quarters. Apparently there are weight restrictions also. A pneumatic mining array, I need 400 for that. How much cash do I have on hand? 159. Yeah, none of this is purchasable yet. +1 to butchery. I guess this has something to do with hunting monsters. The base raven. Whoops, I misread that. It's the brass raven. Damn it. Damage 4, range of 650. Some sort of machine gun, seemingly. Bronzewood shielding, +10 to armor. An additional cargo bay, +5 to hold space. And Albertine candles. I guess these are missiles. Very interesting. Okay, Victoria Market. Well, nothing much for it. I guess I'm going to buy myself a couple of units of... Will I? I'm gonna buy a couple as spare. I don't know if I should. But I will. Just to be on the safe side. Verdant seeds. This is apparently what I need to be buying. Astrologer crockery. I'm very much a fan of the improved art assets, because, God, looking at Sunless Sea was a bit of a chore back in the day. And the engine yard. Well, we'll look at this more in depth later on, but this one looks really gaudy. I want it. But, no matter. So far we have what we have. We were given quests. And there's not much more to do here. Okay. Let's turn to the chart. Very interesting. That is our map. Right. Journal. There we go. I don't think I need advice on this. Ambition Wealth. Whitcock's Legacy. I need to go to London for that. Northeast to Prosper. Port Avon is to the southwest of New Winchester. and north-northwest of New Winchester. Okay. So which order do I have to do this in? Okay, yeah, 3 sacks of verdant seeds from Port Avon. So, first to the southwest. Well, let's go, I guess. Although, why not explore an island first? Ah! Is there a way to turn off the fog lamp? I wonder. Options, controls. Let's do a quick research. Yup. Lateral thrust. Open chart. Engage scout. Interact. Light toggle. That needs to be rebound, I think. Replace with F. I said replace with F. Now, F was mapped beforehand to engage scout, which I'm going to map to Z. Or Z, for those of you who are Canadian. Toggle tips. The hold will be caps lock. Toggle profile is P. Journal. There has to be a better one for this. Whatever, I guess I'll just click on it. Yeah. I guess this'll do. Anyway, let's move on, continue exploring things. Should I be worried about you? Well... he doesn't seem to be too interested in us, so I guess I'll ignore him. How's our supply level and fuel doing? So far fine. Okay. There doesn't seem to be a boost system. And audio transitions seem to be a bit weird. Why is it so loud here all of a sudden? Cool, we found Nowhere Inn and Port Avon. There we go. Why did it get so loud here? Let's work on that a bit. Okay, cool. So it just glitches out. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, anyway. Behold a ruin of giants, gargantuan blocks jigsaw together, furred with moss and whispering with orchards. A bucolic village nestles amongst them. Smoke coils daintily from the chimneys. A leisurely game of cricket unfolds on the village green. A ramshackle dock juts into the sky, beside a farmyard scattered with rusty locomotive parts, plating, piping, a chugging motor with its innards exposed. Let us disembark. An oily-faced, black-haired girl waves your locomotive into position. Welcome to Port Avon, she calls as you disembark. A rich knot of scents greets you, leaves and wood smoke, enriched by an infrequent but pungent intrusion of goat. Port Avon welcomes new visitors, but your novelty wears off the more time you spend here. When you visit in future, you may need to bring something to keep them friendly. Ah. Port Avon spills prettily across sections of colossal drifting ruins. Its orchards bask in the evening gold light of a distant nebula. You can restore it here. Well, first things first, let's write a port report. Locals are willing to update you on the news, there's not much to share. Were it not for talk of smugglers and sky beasts, you could easily confuse this place for a village on the world you left behind. It's quite peaceful here, apart from some fuss over a newspaper delivery. The villagers frown and change the subject when you ask about it. Hand port reports into the Indurate Veteran at Victory Hall or the Prudence Secretary at Company House in New Winchester. Alright then. A caddy of dried tea and salon stewed gossip. Well, nothing much else to do here. Let's go to the shop. Sharma and Sons, what do we have here? Fuel for 20, supplies for 40. A jumble of undistinguished souls which they are willing to trade for? Or which they're willing to sell? Hoo-hoo. Okay. Well, we're here for the bazaar. We're here to buy all the seeds they can give us, and yeah. Interesting. We may become a garden if we're not careful with these seeds, maybe. But yeah, nothing else to do here. I guess let's just go to our next port. And it was to the north-northwest, if I remember. So let's just go there and admire the scenery in the backdrop. Really lovely artwork. I mean, Sunless Sky or Sunless Sea set the bar pretty high, but I think this really takes the cake. Just the ways in which you can see all the parallax motion in the background. It really gives you a nice sense of scale and depth. And I'm honestly mesmerized by it to the point where I'm not even paying attention to the ship. Oh, we just got a bit of a text blurb informing us we're getting back into New Winchester space. One wonders exactly how far we'll have to travel in order to find... Where is it that we're going? Oh, that was in the journal. North-northwest. Magdalene's. Anyway, let us actually check out our officers. We could gamble with him if we had 25 sovereigns, but I only have the 24. And he seems to be already established in the officers' quarters, so... Nothing much to do with that, I guess. Although, let's also check our profile out a bit. I have an affiliation with some academics. Bunch of events. Strength of the sun. Some say that the clockwork sun was brighter once, but they say it quietly and lie about it afterwards. Fortunes. Stovepipes. Her Majesty longs to tighten the Empire's hold on the wilderness. Tacites strive to be free from the Empire. And who is dominant in the Reach? Fermented soul appears faintly bubbling in its bottle. It is indifferent to taboo. Well, my soul is stained and fermented. I have no clue what that means, but yeah, sure, we'll take it. The stovepipes and the tackities are somewhat indifferent about us. Presumably these are factions. And we just got ourselves into an event, okay. A stopped clock. The fastidious inspector approaches you in the galley. Captain, good day. I noticed your ship's clock had stopped. Perhaps you'd permit me to repair it. She has a little case of tools and a hopeful expression. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's permit it. She gives a grateful flicker of a smile and sets to work. Soon she has the back of the clock and has spread tiny cogs across the galley table. Obscure horological tools gleam brassily among them. Everything has a place. I appreciate the opportunity to keep myself busy. Staring too long at the stars is harmful to the temperament. Okay. Let's inquire about her work. She sniffs. It is of fundamental importance that 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June is in one corner of the Empire occurs at the same time as 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June in the opposite corner. How is an empire to function if it can't agree what day it is? Unfortunately, the process is complicated by the fact that time is less reliable than it was. The hours trade has seen to that. Let's ask for news of London. The seat of the Empire lies in far-off Albion, where a man-made sun burns in the sky. Another sun blazed there once before her renewed majesty conquered it. London sits in her coat of smog. Courtiers squabble at the foot of the throne of hours, hoping to receive endowments of years. Meanwhile, hard-working civil servants labor to ensure everything runs as it should. Was there a touch of archness there? All is normal. I miss her, though. There is no city like London in all the skies, and Albion is very different from the Reach. Much more civilized. Discuss the Reach. It has an uncouth splendor, but I miss Albion and the steady light of the clockwork sun. These sunless reaches are so misty and quiet. She pauses. But critical. The territories here are rich with raw hours, and enough vegetation grows on them to feed the whole of London, even if some of it is a dubious shape. Ask about the hours trade. You've heard the Empress awards her favorites with gifts of years to extend their lives, and that you can become rich mining for hours to satisfy London's hunger for them. Oh, hours have more uses than that. We use them to increase the efficiency of work worlds, to speed journeys to distant regions, to resolve overcrowding in prisons. It does make my life more difficult, when time knots and stretches like wool on the loom. More difficult, but more vital. Her Majesty seized a great trove of them when she assumed the throne of ours, and now even more have been found in the Reach. Miners dig them from the ground. She looks momentarily wistful. I hoped someday to retire with a modest pension of years myself, to prolong the better part of my retirement. Right, ask about the Winchester War. There are those who feel that London is a long way away, and that they'd do a better job of governing themselves. The frontier attracts independent spirits, we call them tackities, for the hobnail boots that are so practical out here. London, unsurprisingly, disagrees. The Windward Company earnestly represents Her Majesty's interests in the region. Sometimes very earnestly indeed. The tackities call London's loyalists stovepipes. For our hats, I suppose. She avoids looking at you. And you, Captain, where do your sympathies lie? With London, naturally. You remember your heritage and the Queen who led you to the skies. Glad to hear it, she says. Compliment her skills, why not? Her hands are deft and sure. She polishes, she cleans, she reassembles. Thank you, she says, a small embarrassed silence. A small embarrassed silence follows. It's hard to tell if she is pleased. Bid her a good evening. You've got work to do. And to you, Captain, I think I shall make a cup of tea. Well, plenty of snowiness about in this area. This seems to be a port. And a tackety scout. Is he gonna fire at me? Well, aren't you a nuisance? Anyway. We found a homestead of sorts. Settlers who live so far beyond the edge of civilization relish the hardships of solitude. They will fiercely defend their small territories, but occasionally welcome company and trade. You set down beside a cold, silent homestead. The windows are boarded, the door is locked, but the foliage in the garden hasn't grown wild. It was abandoned in a hurry and recently. Perhaps the settlers left something behind. We fail. The house is empty except for a stinking corpse laid out on the kitchen table. A tablecloth, rapidly discoloring, has been laid over it for modesty. Boxes under the table contain old crockery which must have been imported through the avid horizon in the first days of the Empire's expansion. You now have 1 crate of nostalgic crockery, and we've gained 10 terror for a total of 16. It looks as though there are 3 levels to terror. Currently, and they give us nightmares. Presently, we are untroubled by nightmares. But who knows how this will go. Oh wait, did we already... Okay, I guess we already looted it. And we're taking a bunch more collision damage than we really ought to be. Not a whole lot is being currently told to us. Is this a tutorial area? Because I sincerely doubt that the entire map is this small. Well, we're hunting for Magdalenes. I guess I'll send my owl out on a scouting run. It hasn't found anything, however. Wasn't I supposed to have a mascot? Yes. A cyclopean owl. It hoots scornfully at your suggestions. It will eventually do as you ask, but only because you clearly can't manage on your own. And the diffident bat. Its opinion is clear. It? Go out there? In this weather? Thank you, but no. I like my cyclopean owl. I guess this was a, backer perk, I think. Sessions-wise, we don't have a whole lot. Minimum safe manning number of 6, a port report, an opening narrative, and a passenger. Cool. We'll not abandon our prospects, of which apparently we can only hold on to 4 at a time. We found the Bonnie Shepherds. An interesting cluster of rocks. Are we any closer to a destination, I wonder? So far, it's just quiet ambling on a peaceful backdrop. I guess we'll enjoy the ambience for the time being. All the meanwhile wondering where the heck we are meant to go. And wondering why we can't boost. And we are tapping into our supplies quite a lot, so... Ooh, I have character points to spend. What is this? Choose a facet to grow stronger. An interlude in red and gold. Well, okay, first let's start off with Scarred. You came close that day to death and left its mark. What was it that nearly killed you? An attempt on your life gives me +3 irons and +3 mirrors. An engine accident, +5 iron, +3 hearts. Had a spell in prison. +5 veils, +3 hearts, or +5 veils, +3 iron. I lost my mind once. They put me in a splendid hotel managed by a cheery gentleman who would determine when I could leave. How colorful the other guests were, how red the curtains, how gold the fittings, how secure the locks. Eventually, you were allowed to leave, but was your recovery genuine? Nah, I just learned to lie. Sure, let's be crazy. That was an easy decision. So yeah, a lot of stuff to learn so far in this game. Yes, I am low on supplies. I sort of realize this. I'm trying to find Magdalene's. It is so far a rather dismal prospect. What has my scout found? It has found me a platform, potentially. And what is this? Something grave. Well, I guess we're heading in the right direction towards Magdalene's. God, just look at that. God, that looks pretty. I wonder what there will be in Magdalene's. Am I getting closer? Am I on the right track? I probably have to go around the other side of this island. Okay, that was bad. I was hoping to maybe with my light catch a glimpse of what this was. Speaking of catching glimpses, this looks interesting. What is it? I guess I'll have to learn to strafe as well. Well, it looks like I've found Victory Hall. We'll learn someday. Well, no matter. The Assembly, a coalition of independent-minded settlers colloquially called Packadees, gather and argue here. Deliver port reports here to receive rewards and win the Packadees' favor. Well, we're not interested in winning the Packadees' favor. But we will check out Victory Hall. Raised in the wake of the blockade of New Winchester and... Oh, hold on a minute. The music is fantastic, by the way. I love it. It's so good. Yes, we will not be delivering our port reports, but anyway, this magnificence of glass and steel houses the Colonial Assembly. Here, representatives of the independent ports of the Reach gather and quarrel. Okay. Well, let us chat with the Indurate veteran. She is taking a moment in the atrium, watching the stars burn coldly in the mists. An opportunity. Her skin is brown and her hair is beginning to gray. She wears a heavy, unbuttoned coat. Metals gleam in the shadows behind its lapels. One half of her face is scarred from frostbite. She is enjoying a quiet cigarillo while her peers argue in the chamber of assembly. You talk for a while about life in the skies. When her cigarillo is just a stub, she says, "I'd be grateful to hear reports of your travels, Captain. I suspect all manner of strife and imprudence is going to kick off in the foreseeable. I mean to be ready for it." Hmm. I'll consider it. Anyway, this isn't Magdalene's, but maybe this here will be. Company House. Well, let us see. The local headquarters of the Windward Company, London's proxy in the Reach. Deliver port reports here to receive rewards and win the company's favor. Well, let us visit. Following the uprising, the fortunes of the Windward Company fell in New Winchester. Now their modest offices occupy an ex-tinning factory in the murkier recesses of town. It continues to smell faintly of beans. Well, let us chat with the prudent secretary. The foyer bristles with stovepipe hats. The prudent secretary pushes between them, narrow and unsmiling, with a blousy shirt and black trousers. The secretary's gender is the subject of some debate in the company canteen. The secretary's prudence, however, is not. Both these facts provide the secretary with a great degree of satisfaction. I would be interested to receive port reports on any events in other ports. However small, the company has expansive interests. One never knows what might be important. Well, given that I want to be in league with London, let us deliver our port reports here. The office's general manager lives in perpetual fear of his secretary, who was appointed directly from the London office. Their references were inarguable. This will influence the balance of power in the reaches in the Windward Company's favor. Services rendered. I have 1 times the Windward Company's gratitude. I've gained 100 sovereigns. One times fortune with the stovepipes, and I've lost it with the tackities. Fine. It is a comfortable room for a modest secretary. Stained glass windows lay crimson slants across the deck. The prudent secretary receives your reports and reads them one by one. A number of questions follow, to which the secretary expects cogent, succinct answers. Her Majesty is grateful, they say, as you leave. Well, I guess that's it. Not exactly what I wanted to hear, especially given that I'm trying to... I'm going to make sure. Northwest of New Winchester. Yep, I still seem to be heading in the right direction. The question is, where is that direction? So far, it's been nothing but a shot in the dark this whole time. I seem to have found something, however. The Riekstead. Quite a curious bit of travel. I'll probably be cutting these sections out and just skipping ahead straight to story elements. Oh look, a marauder. Whoopsies. Got him! Well, maybe I won't be cutting a lot of this stuff out. So yeah, okay, heat. This happens when you fire many shots in short succession. While you're overheated, you can't use lateral thrust, and if you fire a weapon, you'll take damage. Oh, so that's how that works. Okay. Fine. To the victor the spoils. I approach the buckled wreckage, poised to plunder the plunderers. Behind you, someone is humming a song of victory. The crew of the Marauder lie dead in the corridor, killed not by your guns, but by knives and small arms fire. The only survivor is the captain, locked in the brig with a bottle of brandy. Chalk eyes stare back from every wall. When he ran out of chalk, he began scraping them in with his fingernails. Little remains of them, but bloodied stumps. Seen this before, Captain, says a crew member, grasping your arm. Sky madness. Magdalenes can treat it, if you can be bothered to take the poor sod. No. We're putting this guy out of his misery. The sky-maddened captain writhes once, then is silenced, still. Your crew moves swiftly, anxious to loot the train or perhaps to evade your glance. I now have a tale of terror. We can strip the engine for materials to repair ourselves or loot the hold. I'm going to be in favor of looting the hold. We gain unusual cargo, a solid crate stamped carefully sealed. It is heavy as a dead man's weight. Onwards? It takes a wrench on your strongest stoker to lever off the lid. When at last the crate opens with a heavy thud, your crew gasp. Inside, the lustrous saltine crystals of ground hours, mined and refined for commercial use. This is the final product of London's greatest and most precious enterprise. A barrel of unseasoned hours. Let's turn off our light. Let's not turn off our light. I'd like to find Magdalene's as fast as possible. Well, there's the grave thing. Maybe the Cyclopean owl will tell me something. And our scout has found something. I have no clue what. But I'm getting very worried. I think I need to return to New Winchester. But something that glitters. First, however, let's loot this place. The wreck gleams with frost. We failed to get inside. We've lost a crew member. A clasped jewelry box, however, was discovered. A sheaf of letters falls from a concealed compartment. The pages are rife with scandal. You would not have believed it of her. You would perhaps not have believed it of her. Or you would perhaps have believed it of her. Okay. Well, no matter. Let us turn off the light. We have places we need to be going, and those places are where port is found. Because we are presently rather lacking in funds and equipment to keep our journey going forward. So long as we can get back to port, get more fuel and supplies, I think we'll be in decent enough shape. Let's not be hitting things as well. The ice physics on these ships is a bit daunting at times. Shops Bazaar. Well, we already have seeds, do we not? We do. Yes. I guess from places like this we cannot buy the things we desire to buy. Though, I am curious. Nope, still just seeds. But no matter. We are working our way into New Winchester again. Firstly, let us go to the bazaar. Or, not the bazaar, but, I don't know, Victoria's Market, was it? Yes. We need these things. In fact, some more of these things. And these ones. We can, however, sell this. And this will put us back in fairly reasonable shape. Well, with that out of the way, we're off to once again try finding Magdalenes. And okay. We've gotten ourselves another event. A touch of the skies. Skyfarers exposed to the haunting light of the stars are prone to sudden obsessions and erratic behavior. A junior signaler is discovered in a hold amidst a pile of dissected books. She is cutting out words and grouping them in clusters to represent a new system of linguistic categorization. Narrative is preposterous and occlusive, she informs you. Meaning is the only sensible foundation for classification. You examine her arrangements. The words light and law sit side by side. Nearby, conjunction, philosophy, and faction huddle together. Confine them to quarters or send them back to work. Let's confine them to quarters. They're no good to you in this state. You confine them to quarters and resolve to discharge them in the next port. The atmosphere aboard is subdued for a time, but it is understood that these things happen in the sky. The heaven's price, they call it. Well, more terror and more lost crewmates. What's the worst? That could possibly go wrong now. You know, if we find Magdalenes, that would be really nice. On the bright side, our crew eats less. And I guess I'll turn on the fog lamp for a time in order to keep our nightmares down. I think we're about to pass a threshold in that regard. Oh look, more detritus. We can, let us mourn the dead. It is proper. Our terror has been reduced. Very good, although we've once again smacked into something because we keep underestimating just how much this stuff is going to throw us forward. All in all, just a peaceful enough tutorial zone, I guess. Figuratively speaking, we are being railroaded through a lot of these passages, so, there is that to consider, I guess. A bit of a departure from Sunless Sea's gameplay. Well, let us see what the Cyclopean Owl has to say. Findings! A port and a treasure. Well, now that we have fuel, let us find the treasure first and then the port. The Isambard line was once meant to pass this way, an old accelerator rail. Never used, rusts here. Interesting. Now, is this something that is specifically going to be mining? Yes. Very much so. I guess a mining drill is something to fit onto a ship at some point. Well, this detour did waste us a bit of time, but at least now we know that what to look for when it comes to mining things. We still have yet to find a reasonable way to acquire fuel. Looks like some people are involved in or sounds like some people are involved in combat. Maybe we should investigate? Perkins Copse and Magdalene's. We've found it. Well, after we see what's going on with the combat here, which seems to be over there. Oh boy. Well, the Tacketies and the Londoners seem to be at odds with each other. And this guy is about to die. We might just come in to plunder his corpse once he goes down. Lol, it's mine now. The enduring dreadnought is defeated. The massive guns have finally fallen silent. The hulk hangs in the firmament like a shed spider skin in a web, viewed from the vantage of the fly. Its sides are scored and open, its windows shattered. Smoke billows from its blind eyes. London will not see what transpires here. The dreadnoughts are the banes of all smugglers. They surely keep the best of their finds to themselves. After all, wouldn't you? An engine of this size had many stomachs to fill. We may gain supplies. Or we can raid the engine's lockbox. I'll go for supplies. We're still fairly early on. We've gained a total of 3. And, okay. Your chef is delighted at the abundance of food still intact in the kitchens. He shouts something about a cornucopia before he disappears into the pantry again. Sweet biscuits, tea cakes, herbs from Trader's Wood, and succulent fungus from the Hybras. Good British tea and a few measures of whiskey are unearthed from the vast larders of the Dreadnought. You have brought your crew a few nights of restful sleep on full bellies. Charred stovepipe nameplates remains unchanged at 0. I guess that's because we didn't do the, well, firing. Did they just fire a warning shot at me? That's a bit terrifying. Well, new ports, new things. Look at this gaudy place. The House of Small Comfort. Magdalene's is the closest thing many Skyfarers have to a home. It offers services to alleviate the strain of a life spent too close to the stars. Is this a brothel? The Solace Chambers. Treat your terror. What? In terms of shops, I think I have to go to the bazaar? Seeds for Magdalenes. There it is. Let's sell them. We got 250 or 240 sovereigns. Buy some... Yeah, okay, thank you, advice. Yeah, Magdalene's provides comfort and sympathy to the wary Skyfarer. Its host will tell you any lie you need to hear. Some of these lies require flowers. The amendable hosts wants up to 3 sacks of verdant seeds and will pay 80 sovereigns for each. Magdalene's lies to the northwest of New Winchester. Okay, yeah. Just what we needed. Although I must admit I do miss roses, and lilies, and bluebells. Still, these celestial blooms have their own virtues. Some of them weep, you know. He pays you a generous gratuity. And we've gained an extra 100 sovereigns on top, and 150 XP. Very good stuff. A buoyant broker sells barrels full of geode-like ores, dug fresh from the shapely flanks of the Mother of Mountains by rugged but well-mannered prospectors. He cries, "Put 'em to your ears, my dears, and hear 'em call." Well, that is definitely something I could get. But for the now, let's go back to the House of Small Comfort. Our terror is largely treated. Treat nightmares. We'll get to that when we come across that bridge, I guess. But for now, we can go to the House of Small Comfort. The glass spires of Magdalene's pierce the clouds like swords. Shadowed figures can be seen moving through the gleaming corridors, their identities obscured by the hued glass. Crowds of Skyfarers, ministry officials, and merchants mill about the forecourt, in varying degrees of distress. All watch the clock set in the clock tower, waiting for their appointed hour. Let us write a port report. Magdalene's is abuzz with activity. Barely has the clock chimed, then a clamor comes up at the front desk. Guests rushing to and from appointments. Lord Something was seen in conversation with the amenable host. The east wing was closed for general access all day. A certain distinguished admiral was seen with his second-in-command entering one of the chambers of regret. It totally is a brothel. Several guests succumbed to an excess of sentimentality and were forcibly removed. Some of them didn't even make it inside the brothel, apparently. Let us speak with an attendant. An attendant in the foyer schedules appointments with the aid of a hefty daybook and a very accurate clock. They are eager to explain the procedures and the rules that govern here. This is a hospital for the spirit. Our staff will become the person you need. Here you may say farewell to a doomed comrade, resurrect an old love, spar with a defeated enemy, all for a fair price. But do not overindulge. Our services are to heal, not to become an addiction. The waltz can be heard from the upper floors. Someone has requested the recreation of the Sapphire Jubilee. Talk to patients being discharged. They exit the treatment chambers, fresh from their encounters with attendants in the guise of their most personal memories. A set of attendants guide a frail old woman out from the chamber doors. Tears line her wrinkled face. So nice to see everybody again for the first time since the tomb colonies. She rummages in her bag and produces a set of figs. Take these for Gladys. I know I shouldn't, but last time I heard her belly rumbling something rotten. Almost spoiled the scene. Let's seek a meeting with the amenable host. There may be business to discuss. Unfortunately, the host has many calls on their time, and you have yet to become a known face around these parts. Perhaps once you have availed yourself of the services, they will have time to speak. Well. Let us go into the shop. Beatrice's Exchange. We can purchase souls at market price, and fuel at normal prices. That said, I think we will purchase the 3 barrels of unseasoned hours, largely in order to later sell them back at the other port. What is it? New Winchester? I think that's the one. But that'll have to wait for another day. For now, I'm going to wrap this episode up. It's been a while of me just sort of waffling on about the story, reading things out. If you like this sort of content, be sure to leave a like, a comment, and a subscription. Give us some feedback. I'd like to know whether or not to go forward with this, because I was excited about this game, and I would like to share it with an audience. But until such a time as I have more things to say and more gameplay covered, I bid you farewell, and good travels to you.